What is going on, everybody? It is Luke Beller with the Sideline Scoop. And today I want to cover a topic that I think is sitting in lots of people's minds right now, especially Packers fans. And, with this game versus the Titans coming up on Sunday night, we all know the biggest key to this game and sort of what everyone has been thinking about recently, and that's Derrick Henry. Because as Packers fans, we've seen this Packers defense be destroyed in the run, a couple times in the past year or so, especially when it came to that NFC Championship game versus the San Francisco 49ers where Raheem Mostert runs for like 200 yards against us. And so I think that's sort of always been playing in our mind. And the fear in Packers fans is that, we go to the playoffs and this run defense can't hold up against a good running back. And so coming in this week versus the Tennessee Titans, we have probably the best running back in football right now in Derrick Henry, who's leading the league with 1,679 yards and is tied for 15 rushing touchdowns with Dalvin Cook. And Derrick Henry's been playing great against pretty much every single defense. Against top 10 defenses, he is still averaging 109.2 yards per game. So as you can see here in his past 5 games, he's been playing out of his mind recently, especially the past 2 weeks. 147 yards versus the Lions, 215 yards versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, and those are two of probably the worst run defenses in the NFL. But then we take a look at his game versus the Colts. The Colts have a top 5 run defense. He put up 178 yards. And then the Ravens have a top 10 run defense, and he put up 103 yards. So as you can see, it doesn't really matter how good, the opposing team's run defense has been. He's been able to put up yards against them. So the question is, what will this Packers run defense be able to do? So far this season, this Packers run defense is actually number 11 when it comes to rush yards allowed per game at 110.1. The main reason for that is partly because this Packers offense puts up so many points that teams sort of have to rely more on the pass to stay in the game to keep up. They can't just keep running the ball, and that's mainly the reason for the Packers defense almost being in the top 10 when it comes to total rush yards allowed. But then if we take a look at yards per attempt allowed on this Packers defense, teams are averaging 4.5 yards per attempt against us when it comes to the run, and that is 21st in the NFL. So that basically means that, if we're in close games, this Packers run defense is going to be tested a lot more just because teams have the ability to run the ball. They'll want to keep the ball away from Aaron Rodgers as much as possible. So coming into this game versus the Titans, if the Packers can get up to, a fast lead pretty fast, then obviously that's going to bode well for this Packers run defense just because they won't be able to rely on Derrick Henry. But if this game is much closer, I think that, it's going to be much harder for the Packers defense to stop Derrick Henry. So let's just say that I had $100,000 to my name and I had to place all of the money on, whether or not Derrick Henry will rush for, like 120 yards. If live or death situation, you got $100,000, what are you going to do? Personally, I think I would have to place it and give it to Derrick Henry. And, as a Packers fan, it's hard to say. I want to see this Packers run defense come in and perform. I think we have been improving recently, and there's no, I guess it's a possibility that this Packers run defense could stop Derrick Henry, but the probability, I would say, is that we're probably not going to be able to, hold Derrick Henry in check just because most teams have had really no chance when it comes to stopping Derrick Henry this season. I hope that I'm proven wrong, and I hope that, we are able to contain him. But honestly, Derrick Henry has been a beast this year. I've had him in fantasy this entire season. He's been playing great pretty much every single week, putting up points. So honestly, I'm pretty excited to watch this game to see, sort of what happens. I hope that we can hold Derrick Henry in check. So if we can hold Derrick Henry in check, we can hold any other running back in the NFL in check when it comes to the playoffs. And so when it comes to Derrick Henry, I think that, if we can just slow him down a little bit, I don't know how you do that. No one's really been able to do that, but hopefully we can hold Derrick Henry in check this game, even though personally, I think the probability is that Derrick Henry has a great game, as he pretty much has had every single game this season. But I would be curious to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments below. What do you think Derrick Henry is going to be able to do in this game versus the Packers? That's going to be all for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I'll see you guys on the next one.